Hey guys, welcome. This is Robert here. This is Sasha.
Hello.
This is a new series called Max Guitar Unfiltered because we felt the need to be even more honest. Because there's a lot of things happening and going down in the music industry, and we felt it was only fair to give you more information, more background information, more honest opinions. So this is the first edition, and we're as a test we're comparing four types of or four different brands of ES type guitars, and Sasha's going to play, and we're going to talk about backgrounds, quality, all these kinds of things. So I hope you enjoy it. Sasha.
Hello.
What do you have here?
This is the D'Angelico. Which series is? Do you know better than me?
Yeah,
XL series.
XL series. That's the top
This
of the line.
is the top of the line.
Yeah. Guitars that have a very high value for money, in my personal opinion. Depending on your taste, I think this looks very, very stunning.
Yeah.
This is obviously quilted maple in a nice yellowed orange.
Made in Korea.
Made in Korea. But the nice thing is that these guitars have very high value in the sense that they have the nice binding, the nice inlays, the nice woods, good pickups, and they're still under €2,000, which is still a lot of money for a lot of people. But I mean, if you compare them to some of the others we have here, I think it's a steal.
Yeah.
So
and this is the Angelico is that was a luthier.
yes.
He's calling you. So the Angelico, he was a luthier.
Yeah,
from
he was a
New
Luthier.
York,
Yeah.
but he stopped making guitars, and
Yeah.
the brand name was purchased.
Yeah, it was purchased by actually the owner of a iced tea company. So these guitars have little to do with the original D'Angelicos because these were like super high quality jazz boxes, like in the 20s, 30s, and I think he died in the 60s. But this was a very, very serious brand, of course, very low numbers because he was the one making them, and he had one or two, let's say, luthiers working with him. But this is just a totally new approach. So it's like a more commercial, obviously, approach, and they tried a lot of things in the let's say I would say 10 years they're now working. So they tried everything, like neon colors, different crazy models and everything. So because he just threw a lot of money at this brand, he just threw something at the wall and hoped something would stick. And now they're back to a core line of guitars, of which this is one.
They settled on.
Yeah, because obviously you cannot continue to make different guitars every year because people they need something to go on. They need something which is steady. And obviously a brand or a model like this will always be, loved because it's a very versatile guitar.
Let's hear it.
How does that feel?
Sounds like an ES guitar, feels like an ES guitar.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So it's I would say
this how much is this?
It's around 2,000. So
it's crazy.
Yeah. I mean it's very obviously because it's made in the Far East. And what I like about it, they changed the headstock to a more normal shape.
Yeah.
And it doesn't pretend to be something that it's not. So it's like a very down to earth. Obviously there is quilted maple in this case, but you just have normal standard colors. You have like very nice rosewood, dark rosewood, nice inlays, and it just sounds okay. So if you're let's say an aspiring jazz guitarist or a blues guitarist, and you don't have the world in money to spend, I would say something like this is a good value for money.
And the guitars from the Far East just keep getting, it's not what it was like 30 years ago.
No.
When they were like
No,
inferior.
you don't have to be ashamed to play a guitar like this. I mean, it sounds very snobbish, but I mean actually the opposite. It's a very well-made guitar, obviously the Grover tune is on there, the Imperials. It's a complete package, I would say.
Super cool.
Wooden knobs. It's very
neck
stylish.
is a little thin, maybe wide.
Yeah, it's the standard width. It's just not super fat, but that's taste.
Yeah,
that's taste.
Yeah.
I mean, we love the more fat necks.
Yeah, and I really love the rounded off, the rolled fingerboard edges.
Yeah.
These are a little sharper, so in my hands it feels a little less comfortable, but I mean, plenty of players who don't love the rolled.
No, but you're also used to more expensive guitars, I think. So that's.
Yeah.
But I think if you play this for a few hours, you will,
absolutely.
It will be a fine guitar. So let's go on to the next one.
Which guitars are we actually
I would say the Gibson. So we're comparing actually the D'Angelico to the, let's say, budget Gibson, which is still €3,000, which is not actually a budget guitar, but for Gibson standards it is. It's a satin finish, and then we have the Heritage, which is in my opinion, a very nice looking guitar. Antique burst, and then there is the custom shop reissue, which is like so the prices are like 3. This is also like 3, a little bit over, and that is 6,500.
6,500.
So that should promise a lot, I think.
Yeah.
So this is a satin finish guitar, obviously because satin finish is much easier to produce. You need only a few layers, and when you use cellulose, you need a lot of layers. You have to sand it back every time, so it's a lot more expensive. And a lot of people actually don't know that the lacquer is always the most expensive part on a guitar.
Yeah, and it is a Gibson, so you're also paying for brand. It feels cheaper.
Well, it is cheaper than a normal Gibson, but prices from the Gibson prices have gone up like crazy in the last 3, 4, 5 years. There's a reason for that. We can go into that another time, but let's say that Gibson is more turning into a lifestyle company than that they're actually producing guitars that everybody wants. So it's there's a lot of things lacking, but let's play and say what you think.
It sounds a lot more mellow.
And you mean good mellow or bad mellow?
Yeah, good mellow.
Don't you feel the notes are a little short? I mean, compared to the Angelico?
I like that.
You like that?
Yeah.
More of a vintage vibe.
Yeah, it feels more expressive.
Okay.
But the finish of the guitar, not just like the satin finish, but the overall finish of the guitar doesn't feel as good as the
no. It's
good to me.
Obviously, you have to understand that if you produce in the US or if you produce
absolutely,
in the Far East, that's
Yeah.
probably 2 or 3 times the cost because, and obviously Gibson has a lot of overhead. They have very demanding investors. KKR, which is their investment company, they own actually Gibson.
Okay.
And that is the difference with a company like D'Angelico, which is owned also by, let's say, a very rich person, but he owns it. He doesn't have to pay any stockholders or shareholders. Yeah. With Gibson, they have to pay the shareholders, and that's really sucking the blood out of them.
In real financial trouble. Gibson.
Well, I don't know about if they're in financial trouble.
Well, they were.
Well, I know for a fact that they're selling, or Gibson, or KKR is selling Gibson, obviously because something is not going right.
You should buy it, man.
But I don't know exactly what. But obviously the income, or how do you say that, the dividends are not sufficient. Yeah. Because KKR is a company that is really all about money. So they are, let's say, famous for, it's a leverage buyout. That's what they do. So leverage buyout means that you buy a company by lending it a lot of money. And then you have to get the money back with interest and all these things, and pay your shareholders. And they had a quite ambitious plan. In 2018, they had J.C. Curley, who was the guy behind, or the CEO of Levi's, came to Gibson. Very nice guy, by the way. But he already told me at a NAMM show in 2019. He said, "Well, it's all about performing. If I don't perform, or if we don't perform, in 2, 3, 4 years' time, I will be gone." And that is exactly what happened. So, I mean, nice guy, but obviously this is all about cash. It's not about let's get the customer the best guitar for the best amount of money. It's all about cash. Well, that's another story. We'll go into that another time.
And this is the kind of guitar you get then when it's all about cash.
Yeah. Well, you still own a Gibson.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, for €3,000, you can get a much better guitar than this.
Yeah, but
this should cost like
It sounds. It sounds good. Yeah. Just the feel under the fingers is a little more inferior to the D'Angelico, I think.
Well, it sounds strange for €3,000, but it's a budget Gibson.
Yeah. So I'm not very impressed by this. It sounds good, but overall.
Well, you would be if it would be €2,000 or €2,200. Then you would say, okay, this is a
entry
price
level, and fairly priced. I think this is €3,000 is too expensive for a guitar like this.
Next one is the Heritage. It's the H535. Heritage is made in the old Gibson factory in Kalamazoo, USA. And these guys are also privately owned, so it's not like a corporate approach there. I know the people well. There are some people from Gibson who went to Heritage to, let's say, make the guitars they always wanted to make but couldn't make them. For instance, Edwin Wilson was a guy, he sadly passed away 2 years ago, but he was a guy who was in charge of Custom Shop together with Tom Murphy. And he did the whole 2016, True Historic line.
Yeah,
so they sort of reverse engineered all the plastics, everything. So like I think 100 different things that
the hide glue and
everything.
Yeah.
And this knowledge, because he was fired, I think, I'm not sure, but he was fired because it cost too much to reverse engineer all these things. And then he went to Heritage, and everything he learned and all the contacts that he had, he used for Heritage. So all these guitars, especially the custom core line, is exactly like a True Historic. Only it's more affordable. Still, a lot of money. But if you want a good guitar, then it's either between Gibson or Heritage for a lot of people.
This feels like a properly finished guitar.
Yeah, and it's still, I think, like 3,200, so it's just crazy. A little over this.
Yeah.
But obviously,
and it is a lot of money. It's a lot of money.
I mean, it's obviously good instruments cost money.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree. But it's worth that kind of money.
It's more than worth it. Yeah. I mean, just the color, the finishing, all the details that I spoke about. Luckily,
and this is the neck that I love. So it instantly feels like.
And they redesigned the headstock a few years ago, because that was very long.
Yeah, it was a really.
Yeah. So this is now more
narrow and looked a bit strange.
A bit strange. Yeah. Now, what they listened to,
it was ugly as hell. This is way better.
Oh, this guitar is. I love the finish. I love everything about it. And if you compare it to the Gibson, what would you say? I mean, sound-wise, not the finish.
It's a little less vintage, maybe.
More open, or what?
I think these pickups have a little bit more output, or they're just like set up differently. The height may be different. It feels easier to play. I had to work more on the Gibson.
Yeah, okay. Mm.
But it is still not like compressed and mushy. It still has a lot of dynamics.
Yeah,
fantastic, I love this.
Okay, so the next one is the Gibson Historic.
I'm gonna give this to you.
Nice.
That's crazy, man. 6,500 euros.
Yeah, but this is more the category that if you say, okay, I want the exact guitar like it was in 1964, this would be a contender, I would say.
I'm less of a snob now, but I still get very warm inside when I see a guitar like
but
this.
That's how we were brought up. I mean, it was like Fender or Gibson or maybe Gretsch for somebody. Because these are the, let's say, the staples in the guitar industry.
Yeah, and this cherry with the small blocks is like instant Eric Clapton to me. I'm a big Clapton fan.
Yeah.
That is one of the reasons I would want this guitar. Let me play the same thing on this. So mellow.
Yeah, it's a real vintage vibe. So. It's much lower output also.
Yeah. I feel like pressing a button here. This this is instant, that vintage ES tone.
Yeah, what you like.
The Heritage sounds a little less vintagey.
Oh, it's more all round, I would say.
Yeah.
So you can also play.
Yeah, this is. I mean, when you're really into that old bluesy stuff,
like you were,
like I am, it has that tone.
Yeah,
I really like that.
Yeah. It's just a little shorter. It's a little more introverted.
If we're like being realistic, I wouldn't spend 6,500 euros.
No, but this is the category that if you have money to piss away, then this is the one.
If money didn't matter, or this would be like your dream guitar, and you would know.
Yeah, obviously, I mean Gibson is still Gibson, but
you're playing for the rest of your life, then it's the one to get.
Yeah. But these prices are insane. I mean, this guitar, I think 4 or 5 years ago was like 2,000 euro cheaper. I mean, I'm not kidding. It was like 4,000 euro, which is a fair price. And obviously, inflation, blah blah blah. But there is also a sort of a increase because we need the money sort of feel. Not us, but like Gibson. And you know
that's it's such a shame, man, that it's so corporate.
Yeah, because it's all money driven.
Because the guitars are still like amazing.
Yeah, especially custom shop. I mean, that's. I mean, if you look at the standards, I mean, nowadays a standard can easily weigh like 4.5, 5 kilos, which is.
I feel like they differ a lot in quality. The standards.
Yeah.
Like the quality control became like less.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's became less, but I mean, it's certainly lacking somehow because. I saw a video the other day on YouTube of a guy who had actually a hair underneath the lacquer of his Les Paul standard. So in short, if we go through the models, obviously this is the more affordable one, around 2. Then this is around 3. This is around 3, just a little over, and then double the amount, which is literally double the amount.
Yeah.
You know, if money isn't the object, what would you say? Yeah. Okay. And if money is an object,
Heritage.
Yeah, for sure.
And I love what they are doing. It's such a cool company. I have an H150 custom.
That's a Les Paul style.
Les Paul style, yeah. It's absolutely amazing guitar.
Yeah, yeah.
And you can easily compare it to the higher end Gibsons. I mean, this isn't even like the custom shop.
No, this is a standard. Standard.
And it feels very, very, very high end, like a guitar in that price range should, I think.
Well, obviously, if you compare them, there's a clear winner. But you know, if you want Gibson on the headstock, then you have to go for a Gibson. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But if you're more open, then I would always go for a guitar like this.
Yeah. Same here. Yeah.
So that's a short rundown of 4 ES models. Leave your comments below.
Subscribe to the channel.
Yeah, and make sure that you suggest new items.
So we don't have to think about it.
Very good.
We can be lazy.
Thank you, Sasha.
Thank you, Rob.
See you next time
Bye.
at Max Guitar Unfiltered.